Hey guys, I got my LVLs in the other day you saw, and between that on the ground there and that little pile there, you're looking at $2,000 worth of LVLs. And you may ask yourself, what the heck is an LVL? An LVL basically a thick piece of plywood, nothing real fancy, just multiple layers of plywood, and it makes a beam. A very strong beam at that. Reason is, they're 16 inches. It's almost impossible to find a 16-inch piece of wood. If you could, it'll probably have cracks in it and everything else, which would give it questionable integrity. By using plywood, they actually, the multiple layers, put any little fissures or any little defects don't show up, if you will, because they would be hidden. You'd have one here, one there, and they're small, and they would never have the same effect as one solid crack going right through a piece, which would fail. So anyhow, I have been cutting them down. They came, you could only get them in 16-foot plus. I needed 3 10-footers, so I ended up getting some long ones, cutting them up, and they're heavy. Each of those on the ground are about 125 pounds, I think. The longer ones are 200 and some odd. They're not light pieces of wood, but again, very strong. So what I've done with, I'm cutting them to length right now. I got one cut to length, and over the big openings, one isn't even strong enough to take a big opening. So I will have to put 3 of them together, nail them, 3 of them, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just cutting that first one to length. I just did, and then they have a little bump in them where the laminates come together, if you will. They overlap and they have a little bump in them. I always wonder if you can sand the bump down. I have in the past, but that's because I oversized them so much. But I always wondered. So I called the factory today, and they said, "Yeah, go ahead, take your little belt sander and sand down any little bumping them relatively smooth so they can sit flat against each other." So that's what I'm doing right now. I got, like I said, one cut, one side done. When you sand them, though, these have what they call a watershed, just literally a coating on them to stop rain from bothering them for a couple weeks while they're out here in the weather. And because I'm grinder sanding through when I do the bump, I decided I better put a little something on. I just happen to have some leftover red spray paint, so that's why you see the red on that one in the distance there. You see the red, just where I cut the ends, I touched it up. Where I ground the middle down flat, or sanded the middle down flat. The other end I did. And I will do these other 2 the same size, and I will start nailing them together. So. Okay, again, I'm sure it's me, but this is one of those little things that I don't know how I get myself into. And I've gotten LVLs before. We build them with the house. I've always had them come clean. There's never been a problem. I got them from the same place, Curtis. This bunch, I don't know where they were stored. I know Curtis had special order them, so I don't know where they came from. Manufacturer made one of their main warehouses or something. They might have been stored inside, but they're covered with like an oil. I mean, you can kind of see, and I wanted to show you because people don't believe me sometimes, but this, right, just one side, just wiped it down. You can see it's like an oily scum across it. It almost feels like they were stored in a shop where a lot of trains came, or trucks with the diesel engines maybe or something. They got covered with diesel exhaust, and it has a smell to it because it's kind of like a diesel oil or something like that. Now you don't want that inside the building. And now these are watershed covered, which means they've got like a real, I think I explained this the other day, it's just a light, I'd call it varnish, but it's actually so brittle it's pathetic. So I don't know, it doesn't really stick to the wood, but it does work. It gives it a couple days or weeks or whatever worth of protection in that. So I'm not complaining about it, but luckily I can wipe it off because it does have this coating on it. So I think they're wiping fine, but just something else that takes time that shouldn't be. I don't know what it is even. I've just never seen this before. And this is actually relatively clean because when I was sanding, I noticed it yesterday. That's why I moved them and my hands were covered black. Oil, my whole pants turned black with this oily stuff. So when I sanded, the dust that comes off when you're sanding is super fine. It's like talc. You should be wearing a dust mask when you do it. It's such a fine powder. But because it was all over the place, I managed to take all that sauce and put it on here and kind of wipe it over with my hand. and absorbed a lot of it and got most of it off, I'd have to say. This is actually probably 20% that's left, so I'm lucky. But it's just one of those things that, again, takes time that you shouldn't have to do, and I don't know where they even came from covered like this. I mean, it's kind of nutty, but just one of those silly things. Anyhow, I'm cleaning off. First one's down. I decided since this is the driest spot on the pad, I might as well build right here. I'm going to take the other ones. I need to get another one on top of this, line it up exactly, nail them together. My 3-inch nails should be perfect for this, or even 3 1/4 would work fine, because they are 1 3/4 thick. All lumber, standard lumber in the world that I know of. The standard size, if you get a 2x4, it's not really 2 inches, it's 1.5 inches. 2x6s, 1.5 inches. Everything comes 2x. That's the normal standard lumber that we use in the United States here, or whatever the metric equivalent is. And I'm sure it's actually a metric equivalent because most of the stuff comes from Canada, which is metric. But what do you call it? This stuff is actually thicker. It's 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to put 3 pieces together. So 3 pieces together will give me 5 1/4 inches. I'll use a 1/4 inch piece of garbage as a spacer, and that'll give me the 5 1/2 inch. Which, when I say garbage, OSB, which is now $55 a sheet for 1/4 inch. Ouch! Used to be $8 for that stuff. $55 a sheet. Nuts. I ordered a couple of sheets of it just for spaces. But anyhow, that'll give me the 5 1/2 inches, so it fits on top of a standard 5 1/2 inch piece of wood. You can put 3 of them together, and that's standard. And that's what my beams are. We built up earlier with the pocket. So, anyways, just thought I'd show you guys why things always seem to take Michael a little bit longer, and why things just. And I am a fussy. I am a fanatic. Most people probably wouldn't care. They throw them together greasy and go, hell, who cares? But it's A, it's not right. B, it's going to smell at some point. Yeah, it'll be up in the ceiling and everything else, but I just can't picture it being great, that smell of that oil. And it's going to get all over even when I go lift them in place, and then I'm going to have to always deal with it. Or when I go put the floor in, and there's going to be, when you got the floor above the office joins into these, and I'm going to have to touch it, and it's going to be greasy and oily, so better I just take the time to clean it now. Alright guys, just another little point from Mikey. Alright, so I've cleaned them off. I lined 2 of them up. Third one's not clean. I'll have to do that one, but there's got to be a spacer in between. But I have put blocks on each side, clamps. I have checked, and then I rechecked it. And then I think I checked it one more time. I even checked the overall measurement again, which, you know, if I wasn't so concerned about material cost, it wouldn't. So you go, so I made a mistake. I nailed it together wrong. That happens all the time, but I hate to waste material, especially stuff I know I'm paying good money for and that, so I wanted to make sure these were correct. So I have checked them, rechecked them, made sure they're together at the end and felt them. There's no edge or anything. They're the same length. So I'm ready to put them together, these 2. Then I'll cut down the sheet of OSB, put it in between, and then one more beam, and then we're ready to, then I cap it. 2x6 on one side, 2x8 on the other, and then I'm ready to put it down. So, a lot of work into a little beam, but that's good. I think we got enough nails everywhere to hold together. Alright, let me go cut some scrap up. Put in between scrap, OSB. At $55 a sheet. Sorry, just still can't believe that. Let me cut a piece of that up. We'll put that down in between. I'll show you guys that. Then we'll put the top one down. Cap. And that's our LVL beam. Alright, we're outside again. And as you can see on the beam, it has OSB on it. Now, you know, just of interest too, the OSB, this is just garbage quality OSB. And if you're wondering, is there a difference between garbage OSB and better than garbage OSB? Yes, there actually is. It's a minor difference, but this stuff got a little wet on the corner the other night. It was just a hole in the plastic. I had under 2 sheets of plastic and still a little hole. and it literally started to blow up, come apart. It got the water that went on one side went right through it to the other side, and so through. You guys see it coming through. You go, oh my God, that was just incredible. But that's OSB. That's what it's like. However, the OSB we've been using on the building itself. Let me read the stamp exactly. It says exposure. Huh. Let me get it right for you guys. Find the stamp. Oh, where is it? Exposure 1, I think it says. If I can remember correctly. I can't even see up here. It's exposure 1 if I remember though. I actually looked it up and checked, and exposure 1 is supposedly one above this OSB stuff that I've got on the beam. And the exposure 1 stuff says it's for longer term outside. Not they should ever use OSB outside, but it says it was good for if you expect delays during your construction, whatnot. It actually the glues, polymers are all waterproof in it, and it will hang together a lot longer outside. So that's the big difference. This is just a garbage piece of it that doesn't have that rating, so you really don't want this exposed. I'm thinking in a hurry, I'd like to get the other half on here and cap it so that it doesn't, you'll never see water that way. I might even put a bead of caulk down the two edges. That's the only part that you would ever be exposed, just to kind of hide it so it never ever sees water even on the edge or anything. Leave the bottom open in case it does get anything, it'll drain, but just to be safe, because you don't want it blowing up on you and rotting on you in the middle of your beam. Again, it'll eventually dry out and everything else, blah, 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 but you don't want it to if you don't have to. So anyway, I am going to go clean up that next piece again, scrub her down, wipe her all down, get the next piece on top here and nail it on, and then the caps, and then we have a beam. Okay, I'm still chasing the weather and also the daylight. So, hey, what are you going to do? Didn't realize, I just keep forgetting how heavy that darn thing is. Like I said, probably about, I think I worked out just over 400 pounds, right in 400 pounds. So, I flipped it on its edge, and because the OSB is not any type of waterproof OSB, I was afraid to death it's going to get water between the two. Just sitting in the rain, just until the roof gets on this building, which won't be for a couple months. I was afraid to death it would get water down between the two, and I was like, oh God, we don't need that. It will rot, or it'll start to come apart, and I'm going to have mush in there. So what I did was, I caulked the little groove. I had actually purposely left the OSB, since it's only a spacer. I didn't want to have all the issues of, what do you call it, being too high and holding up the board. So I purposely left it a 1/4 inch shy and gave it a little groove so that whatever cap I put on it doesn't touch it or hold it off or anything. I want to give myself more problems. And what I did was I just grabbed some cheap caulk I had and just ran a bead of it around both sides and around the top of it. This way, if water does get in, once the caps are on, water shouldn't get in, but water likes to find its way everywhere. So I don't think I'll have to get to the bottom. I might, because I like always leaving a drainage clean. I always like leaving something open so that if anything gets wet, water can go down. But water usually doesn't go up. So what I was thinking of just leaving the bottom open, but I've got the two sides and the top caulked in. So now I'm going to put the cap on it. So let's see if I can beat that rain, because it still looks mean. But, I might go running in at any moment, just grab the camera and the dog and go heck with it, but throw all the tools under the plastic. But until it holds out, we'll keep working. Okay guys, I didn't beat the weather, but that's all right. I'm going to see if I can come out and finish, but I just had to show you guys the rainbow. It's actually a double. I don't know if you can see the second one, it's just barely there. And it's a bright one. Up, see if I can follow it through the viewfinder, over the tree. It comes out. I can't, tree in the way, oh well. But you can see the other end of it right to the ground over there. We get some nice ones over here once in a while. This is probably the 4th or 5th one I've seen, but that's the end of it there. Again, all the way up, tree in the way. There it is, nice and bright. That's even fading a bit now. You can still see it pretty good. Just had to show you guys. Tried to beat the weather, it didn't quite work, but I don't know. Maybe it'll clear up yet. I can finish nailing that baby together. It's drizzling on me. Well, it rained on me. I threw all the tools and everything else. Now it's down to a drizzle. So I just had to show you guys. We get some nice rainbows here once in a while. I don't know if I even showed you guys the wetlands, but it's getting a little dark now. But I'm standing out. Well, you'll see when I turn the camera around. There's my wetlands. And there's a little river that runs beside the house. The Browns River. And look at that. My sky is clearing. So maybe I'll get a chance to finish this up yet. Just hit the tail end of this poor thing. And there's the building. And back around to the house. Okay, beam is together. Now, you can look at the edge of it and see I capped the top and bottom. And the bottom, you'll notice I used a 2x8, unusual. Reason is, when you put our ceiling up, in that small area there's going to be a ceiling because it's actually going to be roof trusses right above it for the small kick-out roof. You need something to put the ceiling onto. And a lot of times you'll put a piece of scrap in there, you'll tack something in, whatever. In this case, that is the bottom of the 9 feet right there. That is the ceiling. So why not just put a 2x8, and now we have got an extra bit of material over that will stick out past the wall, and that's where I can tack whatever onto. So that was my thinking on that one. If I use it, don't use it, whatever, it's easier to put on now than tack a piece of garbage on later. So anyways, that's why that one's on there. Heavy beam, darn heavy beam. I didn't realize, well, I did, I just overestimated my own strength. So I am actually having problems even rolling it or flipping it over, it's so heavy. I had to use crowbars and edge it little by little to get it over halfway and then take it the rest of the way. So now I am going to try to move this beam over to the telehandler and then pick it up and see if we can get it going. Again, you'll see I'm using darn PVC pipe. I heard it crack when I flipped it over on it. Oof, that's heavy. But it does work. It again allows one person to be able to roll stuff around. So I tell everybody, whatever you got to do, it worked for all the ancient civilizations. That's how they moved all those heavy stones and everything else that worked for me. So, all right, guys, we're going to start moving this baby around and see if we can get it in place. Trying to center it, because if I center it, it'll be easier to put up. If it's wobbly and we have problems. Close. Within a couple inches. Within a couple inches, that's close enough. Now, flip that baby up. Don't think I can get it from here, but maybe. Nope. No, it didn't work. I can't pinch my fingers. It's held off by the fork, so I'm okay. But I'm afraid of that sliding on me. if I can get it just past that tipping point, or just really close to it, if you do the physics behind it, the flat part, lifting from flat, is the hardest part. If you can just get above that, you know, part way, it's amazing how the forces drop off and how much less weight it takes to flip it once you get past that point. I'm going to try to start to slide back now. If it slides back, I'll be against the back edge. I can't flip anyhow, so see what happens. All right, that was that problem. Now I gotta get it in place. Whole new issue. Alright guys, are we still taping? We're still taping. Do you ever feel dumb as dirt sometimes in your life? This is one of those moments where I feel dumb as dirt. I need to cut a foot off that beam. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was going through my little freaking brain, but I'm exactly 12 inches too long on the beam. I know I did. I just remember I needed, I have a 15-foot opening. I ordered a 16-foot beam so I could cut a foot off, and I have lots in case the ends were rough or anything. And you have to be ordering even amounts anyhow. So I said, that's fine. I got lots of material in that, and then I ended up cutting off like an inch and a bit and going, oh, there it is, fits. Now, my God, unbelievable. The outside of the opening is 15 feet. The inside between those two beams is 14 feet. The beam itself has to be 14 foot 11 because there's 5.5 inches of wood on one side and 5.5 inches on the other. So the 14 foot opening with 11 inches of wood is 14 foot 11, and Michael me at 15 foot 11. Oh, do you feel like yeah, sometimes. All right, rather cut it too long and too short. I will take it down. I'm going to try not to. I don't know if I can. I'm going to try to cut it on the lift so I don't have to take it off again and roll it around and everything else. Unbelievable. Alright guys, I'll take her down. I'll talk to you shortly. Alright, so just fixing my screw up. I'm trying to cut exactly 1 foot off. And of course it's kind of funny because you draw out the square from the top and it comes out one way, you put the square on the bottom, it's a little off, and you go, really? It's impossible the two sides are parallel for the square to be off. But it's a little bit, and I'm not sure where the error is, so it's going to take a while to just square off the end, find 12 inches, and well, I'm measuring for the other end, obviously. It should be 14 feet, 11 inches, so I'll measure from the other end. Get it right, cut the end off. I've already re-nailed it, roughly where the cut is, so that it doesn't pull or come apart or anything. So I'll get this done, probably take another half hour, whatever. And then I'll set the camera back up and we will try this all again. I just thought I'd show you guys what I'm doing. I'll probably unfortunately have to flip the darn thing the way you guys saw me earlier, because I don't like cutting downward, and the other side I can't cut all the way down because I got the 2x8. It's going to stop the saw from hitting it. Man. might have to get the Sawzall, do the last little bit and sand even straight or whatever. So it'll take me a while, but just thought I'd show you guys what I was up to. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye. Alright guys, I cut the end off, smoothed it a little bit with the sander, get as clear as I could. The problem was I had to finish it with a hand saw of all things, and my saw wouldn't go deep enough. Saw only goes 2.5 inches deep beneath me there, 5.5, so there's a half inch material left or whatever. Anyways, you can kind of see down the bottom here, I think. It's hard to see in daylight. Let's see here. There it is. There's my ruler. There's the block. You can see the block. I cut off a bit. 12 inches. My 2 hand saws on top. Alright, so now I am just trying to flip it back over. Man, that's a bear. I tried to just flip it by hand. That was sure not going to work. You've seen me try that one before. And I thought I tilting the forks down. My wife actually yelled at me, hey, tip it back. Well, I'll try to tip it the other way. Just tip the forks back. Way easier. It did. It went over on its back because I did one side first. But now I got to get back straight. I don't want to tip the forks down because it's liable to flip into me. So I think the idea is I just put a piece of long wood out with clamps. I'm going to see if that will give me some leverage to see if I can straighten it out. And if I can, we'll reposition the camera and see if we can get this baby up in the air. So cross your fingers a bit. You notice I have you guys crossing your fingers a lot when I lift walls or lift stuff or do stuff? I need a lot of luck. Okay, 3 hours after I tried the first attempt, let's make a second attempt at getting these in. See if I'm a little bit closer this time. See that with a little leverage on that bar, how easy things go over. What's the old saying, give me a lever and I can move the world? I think that's it. I have to check up my Greek philosophy. It's in place. It's in place. Oh, too far then. Not far enough on this end. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Too far one end, not far enough on the other. But close. Close, close. Really close. I mean, not close counts in this case. I just need to kind of pound it in place a bit. Yeah, we're off a hair, one of the walls. I think it's that one's gotta come this way from right. I'll double check it. 1/8 of an inch. That looks beautiful. Man. A long way down without that machine, I'll tell you. So, heck of a beam. I also don't feel bad now putting that in there. That'll support anything I'm going to put into it. Like I said, it's not that big of an opening. I mean, I've seen guys with bigger openings with less steam, but that's anything of a double garage maybe. And that's maybe something some of you guys have seen before, a double garage, especially on an older house. And you look at them and you notice in the middle of the double garage door is a dip. You know, really, I wonder how that happened. Well, somebody put a heavy enough beam in there and started to sag with the snow load on the roof and everything. And that happened. It's, you know, people didn't do this years ago. They put a couple of 2x8s together and go, good enough. 2x10s, nah. You do all the calculations, you really gotta be careful and you should do it right. Like that one's 2 of those 16 inches I calculated out with it weighing up. So with 3, I'm not going anywhere now. Be there for my lifetime. And you'll notice I've got 2x6s directly under them lined up. It's got a lot of bearing area on it. There's software you can go. I've gone online and used their software. I think the minimum bearing area on each side was 3.5 inches if I remember. And I've got 5.5 inches bearing area on it. So I've got lots of material under that to take the load. So there is nothing that's going to happen on this one. Probably one of the best ones. Anyway, alright guys, it's there. Well, there it is, guys. It took way too long to do, but so did everything Michael does. But I've got my beam in, and that beam now holds the opening. It's the opening in the office. You'll come in this little front entranceway and go. That's part of the office, if you will. The office, it gives the office an extra 6 feet of room in the front here. All right. A little bit of work, but it's up. It's square, and it's right. It's even on both sides, even. I checked both sides. Both sides have the same amount of room left to the top of the wall, because that's what I'm going to build next, probably. That little top of a wall there that goes above it to even out the rest of the top edge to go where the roof line is. Anyways, yeah, bit of work, but my wife was asking me because she hadn't been out here or seen it, so she was asking, is there a pocket? And I said, oh yeah, there's, you can see it's resting on 3 2x6s on that end. I don't think you can see on this end, but there are 3 2x6s on that end in the wall. So that is well supported, and like I said, that'll take care of the opening and the gable end definitely. And I'll probably, like I said, there's going to be a floor that's a 9 foot to the bottom of that, and that's going to be the height of the ceiling in the office. So I'll put some hangers and put the floor joist hanging off that on the other side, and that will take care of it. I've been working at a wall today. Yesterday I cut all the pieces to it. This morning I got out here, put the little wall that goes above the LVL together. So I am now going to go pretend I'm He-Man and lift it up, get it straight. I'm hoping I can just catch it with the forks. No other devices, I don't think I'll need any straps or anything because I don't want to get way up above it. I'm hoping I can just pick up the wall just in the middle. I actually put a bar on it this time so I can lift with, and maybe I'll grab it, lift right with the forks and see if I can get it up in place above that LVL. So anyhow, you guys got something to watch tonight. Let's see how it goes. I'll talk to you shortly. So we're up and we're in. I know you saw me, I was just tapping the ends in so I was tight against the other framing that's there, and I lined up the bottom edge to make sure it's lined up on the LVL. It looks all right. Okay, now I've got to make sure, even the gap pulled pretty tight on the right hand side. I've only got about an 1/8 inch gap. That's not bad. I'll just pull that tight with the strap. The only thing I have to check right now is the length on that whole building, because we left that last stud free because we weren't sure if it'd be exactly right or plus an 1/8 or minus a quarter or whatever. I mean, I don't even remember where it was now, but I remember saying that I was really a little bit worried that the overall length of the building might be off if I'm not careful. So I left that last stud free. So I will see if I can get a tape measure and see if I can do the whole building along the top edge. It'll be a pain in the butt because I gotta get up and down with the ladder 5 times, but we'll see where we are with it. If it's right, nail it. So, hey guys, we seem to be fighting the weather again. I wasn't going to even worry about a video, but I just had to show you guys the frustrations of working with, I don't even know what to call it, bad material, out of spec material. I don't know what to call it. I want to write the manufacturer and ask them what they're giving me, because I can't even blame the lumber yard for this one, I don't think. I mean, they're just giving in whatever lumber, it's supposed to be a spec, and they, you know, send it off to me. But this is really sad. First thing, I nailed 3 LVLs together. These are my LVLs again. These are the small ones going on top of the, inside the workshop, on top of the opening between the 2 bays. And you can see how clamps I need. The darn thing's got a 1/4 inch almost of a warp to it, about 3/16 really, from one to the other. This is supposed to be engineered lumber. It shouldn't be warped. It shouldn't warp. And yet it's got a warp to it. I have to pull it down with clamps all the way along. Luckily I can do it, but it's incredibly warped. I don't remember even seeing that on my other ones. The 2 first pieces were straight, but this one's warped. Okay, that's bad enough, so fine, I get it. As I'm lining up the pieces, I get the first 2 together, go to the 3rd piece to put on top, and I realize one end doesn't line up. Why doesn't one end line up? And I'll try to show you guys. You know, I nicely squared one end, blah, 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 I'm going along. I go to the other end, and you guys can kind of see, hopefully, there's a gap. Maybe that'll show you. Look at it. It's an 1/8 of an inch off the 2 pieces. Now, if it was an 1/8 of an inch too big, I wouldn't even feel bad. I go, okay, fine, I'm going to zip it along. But it's an 1/8, the first 2 were actually an 1/8 of an inch small. Crap. Crap, 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 crap. Because what that means now is that when I shave that top beam to match the other ones, you can't take it apart, you can't go, I'm not going to wait for 2 weeks for wood again, I want to get this wall up in that. But when I do it, now that beam's going to be an 1/8 of an inch too small. Now, you know, what's an 1/8 of an inch? But again, it's an 1/8 of an inch too small. And if you add that error with other errors, and there's going to be an 1/8 of an inch dip right there now in my wall, and that's 8 feet of wall that's going to have a dip to it. Just unbelievable crap. I mean, I don't know what these guys are making. This is normally a reputable company, I thought, but you can see all the way along. Those 2, I didn't even measure them. I just assumed they're 16 inch. I assume they're engineered lumber. They should be right. No, they're not. And like I said, having to pull it down is bad enough. That's a waste of time. And now it's off size. Now my whole beam's off. And at least I didn't even think to measure the wood. It's engineered. Why would you measure it? It's just unbelievable. I mean, you know, when you're paying, I don't even know what the things are, 15 bucks a foot or whatever, times 3. So now we're talking 45 bucks a foot. I mean, you think you're getting decent material. Just absolutely frustrating. I didn't even check them. Like the first ones went up, and they seemed pretty good. They were pretty close together. And there's the other ones. I haven't measured them, but I assume they're good. I'll have to measure them. Not that it'll make a big difference. But these, obviously 2 of them, and it must have been the 20-footer I cut in half, because I needed 10, so I got a 20-footer and cut it in half. It must have been that one piece that was off, because the rest seemed pretty close. But, you know, that shouldn't happen. that just shouldn't happen. Absolutely frustrating. Just beyond me. And nobody's going to care, really. I'm sure if I even told Weyhauser, they wouldn't care what I got or how. But it is absolutely frustrating, really. It's... oh well, so be it. Alright, guys. That's my excitement. Maybe I'll look at my Canadian geese for a while and calm me down a bit. just get frustrated. See how much those guys are growing. Man, from those little babies I showed you earlier. Anyway, guys, try getting this beam together. I'll shave the top so they all match, and the beam will be 1/8 of an inch small. And you can see the wall on the ground there. It's going to go right between that wall on the ground, the wall that's already up. There's the pocket for already. It's not like I can make it any bigger because it's already there. So, oh well. Alright, guys. I hope everybody's doing well. We're supposed to have 2 nice days of weather, so hopefully I'll be out here pounding away. You guys take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Good morning, good morning. We have a beautiful day out. We're in the low 70s. After a couple days of rain, it stopped. We got a lot. So I think we're back in business here. Okay, you saw me the other day making the LVL up the beam that's going to go between this wall that I'm about to lift and the wall that's already up. That's ready to go. And I'm going to try not to make all the mistakes I made on the last lift. So we'll see where this goes. I'm sure you saw the video where I literally pulled the wall apart. So my thinking is when you pull a wall back, unfortunately you can't really pull up the way I did before, because when you pull up, it literally wanted to pull apart. So, plus I didn't have the 2 crossbars holding them all together. So I have really short lifting lines this time. Might not even work. I might have to come back down and lengthen them, but they just barely clear the forks. You have to pull back towards you. Just lift at the beginning of it to get it going and then pull back. Plus, instead of you guys watching me throw, or try throwing a strap through the hole, which obviously I'm not a sports fanatic and don't know how to even throw a ball, never mind a strap. I already threaded one through so I can hopefully manhandle the wall, pull it a bit back in place if I need to. And I think we'll be alright. We'll see where this all goes. Alright, guys. Wish me luck again. We'll see if we can not make the same mistakes we made last time, get this wall in place. A little bit easier. I'm learning as I go. All right, well, what I'm finding is the very first wall we put up with the guys that day, it's not square, not straight, not level. And of course that's going to throw off this wall. And so I think what I need to do, and that's what I'm just trying to figure out what's the easiest way, I think I'll put a string all the way between the outside wall on one side and the outside wall on the other. I'll pull a string there, keep it an inch or inch and a half off the wall, and then I'll try to straighten that first section wall. I'm about to join those two sections of the wall together, but if I do that, I'm liable to make it harder to straighten both these walls. I think the answer might be to straighten the first little chunk of wall first, the first 16 feet, and then join this one into it, get this straight, and then check this last wall that I put up, and then get the LVL. But I'm just thinking if I start to nail stuff all together, it's going to be hard to start to push and pull. I might be wrong about that. Maybe it would be easier to push and pull once it's all in one piece. I don't know. But maybe one will push the other out. I'm not sure what the easiest is, but I think I need a piece of string all the way from one end to the other just to know where I'm going before I do too much more. So I'll do that first. Trying to figure this all out. Can't be rocket science. All right, just a little update. Been working at a couple hours now. I did put a string up just like I said, and I don't know if you can see the string. Let's see here. Can you see the string? That's a good question. Maybe. I think you can see it. It's an inch and a half off the wall, and it runs from one side to the other of the building. I know I measured off the corner each way, so I know that it's right from the corner of the building in. So this wall, if it follows that string, should be straight, and I spaced it an inch and a half. And I did that on purpose so that I could get a piece of 2x4, use that as my spacer, and just go along and see if it matches up. You pull it against the wall and you just see how close it comes to the string and adjust the wall. Everything was off. That wall that I'm shining the right now with off, well, obviously didn't even have one on that one, so that was the one we just put up. So I put a brace up on that one and it's square. The brace on this wall over here was off, so I redid that one. It was not by much, it was maybe a half an inch off, 3/4 inch off. And so was the one down the far end that we did the very first wall. It's off. That's a little bit of a pain in the butt, because it's actually got 3 braces on it. It had a brace on from the back wall to it at 45 degrees at 2 spots, and the cross brace. So I've already loosened off the 45, the 245s in the corner. The brace in the middle is not loosened yet. It's just kind of touchy. I'm trying to be real careful when I took the brace off this wall because I had the ladder laying against it. Of course, the wall slid with me on the ladder just enough to, you know, make me jump. I just don't like that feeling when you're on a ladder and the whole wall and you and the ladder, everything slides, and you go, oh God. But it was only a little bit, just till it found its balance point or whatever, and then I had problems pulling the wall back because it slid too far. So at one point I had my straps on both sides of the wall, one pointed one way and one pointed the other, tray centering it, and it worked. So anyhow, I got one more spot to fix. It's about, I tried to measure, it's about 3/4 inch off of that spot. It's got to come out towards the machine about 3/4 inch, and that's the last spot, and that's where the walls join anyhow, luckily, at that end of the wall. So I'll maybe think about joining those 2 walls in now, since they'll be pretty straight and square. And then obviously still go on and do the blocking on the wall and put the bottom into the sill. It's straight, but it's not into the sill yet with nails. So I'll do that. And then the LVL. So turned out to be a warm day in the sun. It's not bad in the shade, but you get into that sunlight and it beats on you. All right, guys, just want to show you where I'm at. Hope you're all having a great day. Bye-bye. All right, walls are secure, and they're square, and they're straight, and they're everything else, and they're braced out. I've moved the braces on all the walls that were wrong and put them where they should be. I think we're okay. Now, for tonight's job, there is the LVL. I just used my rollers. You can see my roller maybe under the back corner there. And I rolled it across the pad, put it right in place where it has to go. Now I gotta get that up there. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna go grab the telehandler and we'll bring her around and see how she goes. I got it up, got it started, and I'm just drawing it in with the clamp on each side. When I tried to pound it in, you pound one side, the other side jumps out. Great. So, I got 2 clamps up there, one on each side. I've been drawing in one side, then I go up the other side and draw in a couple of, half an inch or an inch, and jump down the other ladder and through. So anyhow, back and forth until I get it up. Once I get it drawn in, and this side's pretty well there, the other side's 1/4 inch to go. This side. The side on the right, pretty well there. The side on the left, maybe has a 1/4 inch to go. Once I get those drawn in, I think I'll move the machine. Maybe. I don't know if I can get it out from where it is, but I need to get it out of there so I could get a strap around the two, one of my big straps, and I gotta pull that baby tight. I gotta pull it so that I know that 2x6 on the top needs to touch on both sides. That top sill plate, or whatever you want to call it, cap, it must touch the other 2 sill plates, because that's how I'm determining the length of my building. I know that those 2 are exactly the right length, everything along there the right length. I know that if it touches on both sides, that the entire wall and the building will be the right length. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Hello everyone. All right, we got the LVLs, the beam, in last night. Got up this morning, made sure it was tight, and nailed it in. So that is in and done. And it's straight, and we're happy. And the wall's straight, I double checked all that. So we're good there. And for me, if you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe, whatever. Leave comments and I'll try to answer them. Okay. Either tell me a good job I'm doing or tell me that this is ridiculous and nobody would ever build this way, and tell me all the mistakes I'm making. Either way, it's all good. Alright guys, have yourselves a good one. Bye bye.